Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Well, uh-oh, that shouldn't be happening. I finished Endgame, and I tell you, it has the ability to make you angry all over again. I tell you, I have it's not so much that you don't know it, or I guess part of it is that you just don't know the finer details. And the reason why we're obsessed with, well, not we, but why they are obsessed with um, who asked about the baby's skin tone is because they don't want us to talk about William. They just don't want us to talk about William. Whatever you do, please don't talk about William. Um, at a certain point, that the subject of William, yeah, the subject of William just seems to be at the center of the Sussexes leaving the UK, them leaving Kensington Palace, and of course the leaks. I guess. Uh, okay, Harry did mention the leaks in Spare, and it did seem to focus on William for a greater part, and also in the earlier years, it seemed to be more of a Camilla thing. So before Harry was married, it seemed to really focus on Clarence House. After he was married, then it seemed like it was a William thing. And the extent that William and his cronies, the extent of what they've gone through to try to destroy his own brother. I don't know how he lives with himself. I don't know how he lives with himself. It was above and beyond um what you would expect in the worst of civil rivalry, or the worst. Just, you have a brother and a father that has tried to destroy Harry. You have a father and a sister and brother on Meghan's side that seem out to get her. And I'm just like, what is it about the Sussexes' happiness that seems to trigger them so much? Is it all for profit? Is it for pride? And I can't believe I'm going to say this. Or is it just plain prejudice? Or is it all of those things? But I have to tell you, by the time I was finished with the book, I was just drained, 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 drained. Oh, man. And of course, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from reading it, but I still think it's a necessary uh, book to shed light on these things, because it becomes part of the permanent record. It's the kind of stuff that Diana didn't get the opportunity to share, but maybe twice with the Morton book, and then with the Panorama interview. But with the Sussexes, you have a book, you have a docu series, and for a certain bit, you even have the podcast, and now you have another book, the Oprah interview. So that's what, one, two, three, four, five. And I'm trying to think, is there may be a little bit here and a little bit there, but I would love to say, okay, I'm satisfied at this point, and they don't really need to go over this stuff anymore. But um, I kind of do welcome the opportunity to make yet again a permanent record of some pretty dodgy, sketchy, destructive behavior from that institution. And of course, yeah, and in due time, that somebody would really take a deep dive into that Marco cabal, that Marco clan. If somebody could take a deep dive into that, um, I'd be happy for that too. But man, I tell you, with family like that, who needs enemies? It's exhausting. I feel drained now. I really do. Not that I don't feel hopeful or optimistic for the Sussexes, but I'm just like, wow, who does that? And I really feel Harry's disappointment and even the shock. Even the shock. For a while there, it seemed like, um, I guess early on, it seemed like, wow, everything would be so good. Everything would be so perfect if it wasn't for those Markles. But the Markles cannot compete with the Windsors. As a matter of fact, you really wouldn't have the trouble with the Markles if it wasn't for the Windsors and their relationship with the media. That's what makes the Markle problem possible, because it definitely was not coming from the American media. I don't know that there's any media group in the United States that doesn't have roots in the British tabloid media that would conduct themselves like that. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that. Even the worst presidential, um, I guess, what do they call it? When you do opposition research against your opponent, I don't think I've ever seen the likes of it. Because when it's a presidential election, it comes and it goes. After the election day, it's over. But this doesn't seem to have an end. This doesn't have a bottom. This just continues. And whenever they need to distract from something, they can pull it back out again. They can do their greatest hits. They could rinse and repeat. And that's exactly what, because the whole thing with the baby skin color, that is rinse and repeat. We've been here before. And I can't believe how much time this has consumed when there's so much more available to talk about in the book. And they're just not going to do it because we have to look at that shiny object over there. So, really, nothing you can do about it because the tabloids are not going to move on. They're going to keep the narrative about the baby skin color, and they won't examine anything else in that book. Nothing else in that book matters. Is they have their three targets: Omid, Harry, Meghan. They have those three. And occasionally they'll throw in Oprah if it wasn't for Oprah. But they have their three: Harry, Meghan, Omid, and sometimes Oprah. They don't need anything else. They can make a meal out of that will last for a month or more. Yeah. It just depends on how long they want to drag it out. But there's no possibility of moving on because it would actually be an indictment against the media. And they're not going to allow that to happen. They have circled their wagons, just like they did with Christian Jones. They circled the wagons, and that's exactly what they're doing with Endgame. Is that they have created the narrative that they want people to share within their circle, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're not going to talk about anything else. Full stop. That's it. So they're entrenched. They're digging in deeper with the baby skin color. It's a weird world when you'd rather make it about race because that's the safest place to be. You would think that that would be the worst place to be, but no, for them it's safe. By the way, thank you, MR, for the Cash App. And thank you. Who sent the PayPal? Oh, that was someone else. Okay, thank you for the PayPal. All right, so um, all right, I'll just get on with it. I'll just get on with it. And yeah, mostly today will be based upon my take from the book, plus a couple other things. Uh, Hello, Ivy here. Hello, Ivy. Thank you so much for your video today. I shared it on the community tab. Um, Ivy had a thing or two to say about the baby skin color. So Ivy says it's a distraction tactics so that we won't focus on the other matters. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's it, and that's all it is. It's a distraction tactic, and they are very adept at it. They are very adept at it. They, yeah. That's it. There's nothing else to add to it. It's a distraction tactic. It's frustrating for me, but what can you do? Um, oh, by the way, I put Ivy's link for Sussex Global UK up there at the top. Mm-hmm. Kim Peaches says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I highlight it or no?" What? Oh, oh, you know what? I'm on the wrong screen. That's what it is. I'm on the wrong screen. I'm like, how come that's not? Oh, never mind. I'll just move on. H Knight says, "Hi all. It's a surprise that I am still up at this hour." Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Anyway, thank you so much for your 19 months membership. Um, and what was that? 15 hours to get through that book. 15 hours. That's a commitment. That's like watching a mini series. That's like what? Several seasons of The Crown. 15 hours. Well, maybe 2 seasons, but yeah, that's a commitment. All right, so Harry and Meghan remain silent. Strip them of their titles, rise of Ford Fiesta, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the royals may easily dismiss Harry and Meghan, but these charges of racism will linger forever. Well, that is true. That is true. And what's amazing is that we have reached this odd place where the royals would rather we talk about racism, which is why I understand why people are saying it's not Charles, it's William, because it's a good distraction to keep us from talking about William. So someone decided better to leak Charles' name and even Kate than to put William's name in there. And of course, people are morbidly curious why nobody has said Camilla. Well, some people have, because Camilla seems to keep company with the likes of a Jeremy Clarkson and a hoghead Pierce Morgan. So that's the people that she's been keeping company with. And I tell you, that makes about as much sense as anything else. But some things are deliberately ambiguous, thus allowing us to glean from it whatever we may. And this one is probably very cut and dry, but maybe the tactic is that they can interchange the names wherever they choose. And so it's one of those things where you will never get the definitive answer because they have created so much confusion around who exactly can it be. Because with Charles writing a letter, right? And Charles is no dum dum. He may be a lot of things, but dumb he is not. Um, Charles writing a letter and having this discussion through post or letter, one would assume that you'd be insane to indict yourself if you were indeed the true culprit, right? Doesn't mean that it's untrue. It just seems like it makes it less likely. And then there is that nagging explanation about, well, it just can't be William because this would cause him so much more problems down the line that they just could not allow it to be William, right? And then the curveball, Kate. I don't think Kate was on many people's radar because, you barely hear from her in the public space. You don't expect anything like that to happen behind closed doors. But then again, we have added a few K's to her name for a reason, I suppose. So, no reason why it couldn't be. But my assertion all along was it sounded like a civil rivalry. Um, yeah, civil rivalry where you would have one sibling really want to upset the other one so much so that they would say something as ridiculous as that. Who else would do something like that but a sibling? That was my rationale. But at the same time, you have Pierce Morgan who makes it about him. And rather than giving us a certain answer, it kind of creates more confusion because if you listen to his words, he's not saying that that's what he believes. He's saying that that's what was in the book in the Netherlands and that the British people have a right to know what was in the book. If you can buy it there, then you should be able to have the information over here. That was what he said. So he didn't say 100% for sure, with all certainty, that those are the names. That's why I said it doesn't really um, bring closure. It just makes people ask more questions. I mean, even like on other social media, you still have people asking, was it this or was it that? Was it him or was it her? Was it, you know, it just adds more. That's, if you had to, plan something that would be um, a riddle wrapped up in I guess what is that, anomaly or whatever that old saying go. If you had to wrap those things up, if you had to create like one of those Russian dolls, this is perfect because it seems like you never get to the center of it. Seems like you never get to the center of it. There's nobody that 100% knows for sure. We just know that those were the names that Omid said he did not submit. He knows who they are. He did not put it in the final manuscript. Yes, a riddle wrapped up in an enigma, wrapped up in what is it? It's like three different things. I can't think of the other one. A question inside of it. Well, yeah. Anyway, a riddle wrapped up in an enigma. Uh, Three parts to that. A mystery. Okay, it's a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside of an enigma. 1939 radio speech, Winston Churchill. Oh God, I don't want to quote Winston Churchill. Yeah, yeah, that's the last person I want to reference. Okay, so moving on. Dutch version of Omid Scobie's book claims heartless William denied Harry chance to fly to Queen's deathbed because he was still angry over bombshell Oprah Winfrey interview. Dutch version of Omid Scobie's book Endgame claims William denied Harry the chance to fly to Balmoral with royal family to see the Queen before she died, according to The Sun. So this brought back a bit of a hostile response from me because having witnessed those weeks in September of 2022, one could not help but see the institution at its worst. That was the firm at its worst. At a time when people are supposed to be mourning the loss of the Queen, instead it turned into a petty playground, high school hallway, sophomorish exercise. That's what it turned into. It was like we were watching a reality show. It was like we were watching Desperate Royals of Windsor, England. That's what it was. So I found this. I kept it. I didn't even know that I had it, but apparently I used it before. So it says here Liz Truss has spoken to the King this evening and was informed of the Queen's passing at 4:30 this afternoon. She will meet, should be meet, right? She met, oh no, well, anyway, you see there's a typo there. Senior cabinet ministers in Downing Street later tonight. Meet. Okay, she will meet. And then Prince William, it says here, this was a tweet from Omid Scobie. Prince William, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, aka Ford Fiesta, have just arrived at Balmoral at 5:05 p.m. after whatever else he added to that. B. Martin says, wow, Baron, history is repeating itself, fighting among the brothers with the help of, with help, shaking my head. Yes, and thank you so much for the super chat. So I'm glad I had this because even though there is so much distrust from some of the squatties of Omid Scobie, which is understandable because he is a royal reporter. And at the end of the day, reporters are going to do what reporters are going to do. So thank you, LDSW. Reporters are going to do what reporters are going to do. Omid Scobie said the Endgame was provided via copyright to various publishers for translation. The crack can be likely traced to a publisher's altering the content on that page deliberately. That appears to be the case. It seemed as though a way to besmirch Omid Scobie's reputation, to create doubt about the book. Thank you, Adrian Burrow. Thank you for your comment. Okay, so, but let me tell you something. Thanks to Omid Scobie, and as far as I know, he was the only one who set the record straight. There may have been someone else, but for several days, the British tabloid media wanted us to believe that Harry, and Harry alone, did not make it to the Queen's bedside, which was very painful to hear at the time, because if nothing else, we know how painful that would be for Harry, to have not been there, to be so close, being in a country like that, but yet unable to make it to the Windsor Castle. I'm sorry, Balmoral Castle. And then what's even more upsetting is that the constant leaks, they leaked the fact, or at least what we thought was a fact, they leaked what was supposed to be yet another shortcoming of Harry, that he didn't make it to the Queen's bedside, and that he was the only one in the family that did not make it, right? That is what we were led to believe. They wanted to make sure that with all of the other distress that was going on, that they could punish Harry. And of course, the real punishment, it wasn't so much the Oprah interview. Let's make sure we get that correct. The anger, the hostility was because Harry would dare pursue a case or a charge against one of William's aides, one of William's employees, courtiers, and Harry didn't want to let it go. It was the fact that the Sussexes wanted to go to court. They did not want that. They didn't want to allow that. They were against that. And Harry, there's certain things that Harry didn't want to let go. He did not want to allow the tabloid media to get away with these things yet again. And so William had made his deal with the tabloid media. That's a fact. Charles has made his deal with the tabloid media. And Omid Scobie lays out that case very clearly and very precisely rather, in the Endgame. And to see all of these things compiled in a nice, neat package, which is exactly what they were saying on Celibacy today. It's not so much whether you knew it before or you did not know it, but it is the finer details and the fact that Omid has created this orderly list of occurrences, of events, and that he has the timetable. Like, for instance, the byline had one of the stories, but they didn't have the timeline. Omid, because of his ability to be an insider, I suppose, with his press credentials, um, doesn't exactly put him front and center, but he knows more than most of us do about the way things unfolded. And he's sharing that with us. And I'm pretty sure there are still so many things that he has not shared, but what he's been able to share, he has shared, and a lot of it, which is very helpful. And again, if it means anything to you to have a permanent record of events, means a lot to me. I'll say that much. It means a lot to me. And I'm glad for it. I'm very happy for it because they were literally dragging the Sussexes for what, 2 weeks? They went over there for what they thought was going to be like a 5-day trip of engagements. And if you remember, we were on such a high because of the what was it, the One World, and then One Young World, and then of course over to Germany, and then they were supposed to do the Well Child, but the Queen died that day, and that's when everything took a real turn, a very sharp turn for the worse. And so over that period of time, there was this massive attempt to humiliate them at every turn whenever possible. As a matter of fact, let me see here. Oh, okay. You know what? Let me share this with you. Let me share this with you. This will shed a little light on what I'm talking about here. This is why I am very grateful to Omid. And I'm not attempting to start an argument about whether he's a good or bad person, whether he's on their side or not. I'm just telling you this is how I feel about it. I'm very appreciative of his him setting the record straight on a few things that matter to me. So there's that one. And let me see here. There's that one. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'll just throw this one in there. We'll throw this one in there. Oh, okay. Nope. 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 Okay, so that. And I'll throw this in there. Yes, I'll throw this in there. Oh, Lord. Wait. Oh, there we go. Okay, so take a look here. Prince Harry arrives at Balmoral more than an hour after the Queen's death was announced as Meghan stays in London, right? Now, I saved this because I saved it. Buckingham Palace declared the passing of Britain's longest-serving monarch, aged 96, at 6:30 p.m. this evening. But flight data shows the Queen died after 70 years on the throne, and this is what they're preoccupied with. Flight data shows Duke of Sussex jet was still in the air at the time, not touching down at the airport until nearly 15 minutes later. He was then seen in the back of a car leaving the site just after 7 p.m. He then finally arrived at the Scottish estate at 7:52 p.m., where he will join other members of the royal family in mourning the Queen's death. Mourning the Queen's death. Harry headed to Balmoral alone without his wife, Meghan, having previously been due to attend the Well Child Award in London this evening. The Duchess could potentially join Harry in Scotland later, at a later date, a source said. Okay, so that was not to be. Now let's go over what Omid tweeted. Okay, so Omid tweets the royal communication. Thursday, 8 September 2022, following further evaluation this morning, the Queen's doctors are concerned for Her Majesty's health. The Queen remains comfortable and at Balmoral. Okay, fine. And then there's the next update. Immediately, family members have been informed about the Queen's health. Buckingham Palace will share more information when there is an update to give. Fine. Representatives, this is, let me see. There's not a time for it, but anyway, this is the following tweet. Representatives at Kensington Palace and Clarence House confirmed that Prince William, Prince Charles, and Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, are traveling to Balmoral, Scotland. Fine. And then Prince Edward, Sophie, and the Countess of Wessex are now traveling to Balmoral. Prince Andrew is traveling up separately, and Princess Anne is already at Balmoral, and as she had an engagement in Scotland this week. Okay, fine. And then Sussex spokesman confirmed Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, will be traveling to Scotland. Well, we know that wasn't true. And then, of course, another one. A source has shared an update stating that Prince Harry made the trip to Balmoral, up to Balmoral, like the Duchess of Cambridge, who is in Windsor with their 3 children. The Duchess of Sussex is staying back in England, but still not attending tonight's Well Child Award. Okay. And then this is the important one. Prince William, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, have just arrived at Balmoral Castle at 5:05 p.m. local time. after landing at Aberdeen Airport approximately an hour ago, right? So one of the squatties tweeted, you may recognize the profile picture. Queen was announced dead by Prime Minister at 4:30 speech. So none of them made it. So none of them made it. But we were told here that Harry was unable to make it. As a matter of fact, there was another article that even said he was. Notice how they were insistent on putting the timetable there. They wanted us to believe that he was the only one that didn't make it. But William and Edward and Sophie, they were about 45 minutes late themselves. And then, of course, this was the airplane that brought them up there. And at the time when the plane landed, the only thing that the announcers were saying is that that was Harry and Meghan. There was no mention of William. There was no mention of Sophie or Edward. All they were preoccupied with was, this appears to be the plane of His Royal Highness the Duke of Sussex and Meghan the Duchess of Sussex. That was all they were concerned about. They were not thinking about those other riffraff. They wanted to make sure that Harry and Meghan was up there. We later found out that Charles had said something rather pointed over the phone about Meghan not attending, to the likes of which, according to Spare, Harry said he had to freestyle on Pops and told him, "Don't you ever talk about my wife like that. You understand, old man?" So they had to get an understanding. Harry had to regulate because Charles was trying to use his state of mourning as an excuse to go after the man's wife on the day his grandmother died, and he wasn't having it. So that was that. Oh, let's see here. T, I won't say the name, but T, thank you so much for the Cash App. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Very good. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. All right, let me take that away. So right here, Jenny Clement says, they all missed it aside from Anne and Charles, I think, because I still don't believe Charles was there. I really don't believe Charles was there. Anne was the only one that had enough sense to be at her mother's side, given her rather poor, unhealthy looking appearance on television. Charles didn't have enough sense to be there with his mother because he was too busy setting up for an interview with NBC television, as though that was more important than the very frail and fragile 96-year-old woman suffering from cancer that just appeared on TV like a ghost. And you so stupid, you're setting up cameras in your whatever place, Burke Hall. You're setting up cameras instead of being at your mother's. There would be nothing in this world that would keep me away from one of my parents, having seen them appearing in that way. And you mean to tell me in 70 plus years, you have never learned how quickly things can take a turn when someone is that gravely ill, that you are sitting someplace else setting up cameras rather than holding a vigil with your mother, and Harry is the one who isn't where he's supposed to be? That's your parent, and you're not even there. I still will not ever understand why Charles was not there sooner, and I'm not sure that he made it anyway. That she may have still been breathing doesn't mean that she was alert. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that she was alert. The last in the family that she probably had a chance to speak to was Anne, not Charles. She might have been just about gone by the time he got there. And then they said at the crucial moment, he wasn't even there. He went out to go and forage mushrooms. He went out to go and take a stick and scratch around under the trees looking for mushrooms. My darling boy. Anyway, so yeah, by putting together that timetable, we all realize now that pretty much none of them was there except for Anne, for sure. Charles, like it says there, Charles, I think. So Omid says Prince William, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, Sophie. Yeah, okay, that's the same tweet. Spokesperson says the prime minister was informed of the Queen's death at 4:30, and by the time the prime minister was informed, I think the Queen was actually gone before that. I don't think they alerted the prime minister right away. I think it was like a half-hour lag. Let me see. She will chair an operational ministerial meeting at 9 p.m. Huh. Okay. So there you go. There you go. That was something that Omen cleared up in the book, and I was grateful for that. So again, Omit's in the hot seat. They have been on him like like stank on Simon Case. They have been on him. Speaking of which, Simon Case. So this was the other thing. I wasn't sure. I wasn't certain beyond, you know, reasonable doubt that this stunt was pulled off by Simon Case. According to Omid Scobie, Simon Case was the one who had the bright idea to do the Flyby stunt. Because Harry had just announced the Travelers, which Travelers is not saying don't fly. And this is the one thing that I wish Omid would have explained, but it is kind of lengthy and maybe even a bit unnecessary because it might just create more confusion. But but Travelers does not say don't fly. Travelers is for the consumer who wants to be more vigilant and aware and have options when it comes to travel and the amount of carbon emissions that we as individuals are responsible for. That's it, and that's all. Desiree Dotson, thank you for being here. That's what the travel list is for. It is for us to be aware. So if you search for a flight and you see down in the corner somewhere where it shows you the amount of carbon emissions will be generated by your flight, you could say, you know what? I don't have to be there at X amount of time. Why don't I take a train? Or maybe it's not that important. I won't go. But just like with the vaccine equity, Harry and Meghan didn't say, you got to take a vaccine. You got to take a vaccine. Everybody's got to take a vaccine. They were not sitting up there shouting like Oprah, everybody gets a car when it comes to the vaccine. But to the untrained ear, or in other words, somebody who is a hater, it seemed like Harry and Meghan were trying to force vaccines upon people. No, they wanted to make sure that they were available for countries that were not as wealthy. They did not have the resources as, say, Western Europe or the United States, Canada, and a few other places. They wanted to make sure that those countries had fair access to the vaccines. And the same with the Flyby. It's not saying don't fly. It's not saying feel guilty. It's saying this is your opportunity to decide whether or not it is worth it, or is the impact on the environment necessary so that I can go and see a sunset in Southern California. That's all it's about. It doesn't say anywhere you should not fly. But because it's something to do with the environment, and because most people are not going to listen far enough to figure out exactly what it means, they decided to use it as a weapon against Harry. And the same thing with the group that Meghan met with in Canada. That was it in Canada? I think that was the yeah. Well, anyway, whatever group it is where Meghan is in that group of women that discuss the impact of climate change on women. It discussed the impact of climate change. Nobody has heard Meghan say, you should not fly, you should not fly, you should not drive. Nobody has heard Meghan say that. She has not said anything about you shouldn't. But by the time the tabloids are done with their nasty, negative narratives, it always sounds like they're being hypocrites. They are doing one thing and telling people to do the other. That is untrue. That is so untrue. It's unfair and it's untrue. The Sussexes are not telling people don't do it. And so that one part of it, Omid does explain that it has the appearance of hypocrisy and that it was a mistake to take a private plane, having just announced the travelers. No, it was not a mistake. That's where I have to disagree with Omid. That was not a mistake. The only problem is the tabloid media was out to attack Harry. They took some private planes because, as you know, having given birth to a child with a biracial mother, they were under threat. And Harry even said that they chose to fly private because it seemed like the safer option. And of course, that fell on deaf ears. They did not try to explain it as a wise and just thing to do. The tabloids that are unanimously against the Sussexes went on to use the company line that they were wrong, that he shouldn't have done that after announcing Travelers. But right now, I feel like I'm wasting my time because the people who need to hear that will not hear it. They don't care. And yes, that's true. Uh, uh, the flight was offset with what they call a carbon tax. The offsetting of carbon emissions is done by paying into an account or whatever where they use the money to plant trees. Trees, of course, consume the carbon in the atmosphere and create oxygen. So the trees are like a machine, it's like a conveyor belt. They take in raw material, the carbon, and it spits out oxygen. Without the flora and the fauna, there would be no oxygen. We need those plants to create air. That's why they call Brazil the lungs of humanity, because the rainforest is one of the largest sources of the oxygen that we need to survive. So, um, that is what the point of the carbon tax or carbon emission offset is, to plant trees. And if you all remember, for Archie's birthday, the Sussex squad actually planted a forest on behalf of Archie Mountbatten-Windsor. So there's that, which will, of course, be ignored by the media because it is so much easier to hate. But thank you so much for that, Tashmac. Um, but as squatties, we know these things. But that's not important. That they could use certain information as weapons for some and a way to build up others. I mean, take a look at their faces as they're smiling because, like I told you, I don't really feel sorry for the Cambridges because they're in on the joke. This was orchestrated, and there's no doubt that William was fully aware of what was happening. So carbon footprints, how clever is that? Carbon footprints, Charles and Eco controversy. Some of the squatties began to fight back immediately. He flies helicopters 125 miles for a speech on climate change. 12,000-pound chopper trip emits 12 times more pollution than driving, right? But that's what Charles, the environmentalist, is saying. And then, of course, you can see down at the bottom, is that, gosh, I don't know who that is on the private jet there. I think that that's Kitty. Anyway, yeah, I think that's Kitty. You can see Kitty having gotten off the plane there, a private jet. You can see Kitty on her way to the helicopter. Now, for that particular event, she flies to some shelter or some community center. They gave her some empty boxes to shuffle around. She was there to make an appearance, take photos, and then she got back in the helicopter and went back to Kensington Palace. That was it. Spending UK taxes, flying a helicopter. And by the way, this is before they attacked the Sussexes. Those stories are pre-attack the Sussexes. Let's see here. Another helicopter ride to, is it Sicily? I don't know what that says. This is hypocrisy as started, as started Earthshot Prize to preach to us about, oh yeah, well, if this was Earthshot, it wasn't that long ago. This was after the Sussexes. Okay, on occasion, well, like right there, the Metro. The Metro, I forgot who broke the story, but take a look there. Flybe sent empty plane so William and Kate could travel economy. The Flybe people heard from the palace, from Kensington Palace, about this stunt. And so Flybe had a plane, but it didn't have the markings. It did not say Flybe. And it was very important to them that they had the livery for the airline on the side of the plane when the Cambridge family, with their backpacks and suitcases, just the typical family, as they traveled across the airfield, because remember, these are rich, privileged people, so they're not going to use the jet bridge like everybody else. So they're walking across the tarmac or the ramp, pavement, whatever, to the plane, which was flown empty to pick them up. They flew the plane empty, even though they had a plane there. It wasn't like they didn't have one there. They flew the plane empty, no passengers, just to make sure that the future king and his family could be photographed getting on one of their planes, because they're just like everybody else. For 78 pounds per ticket, they're going to fly just like the rest of us. So there you have Prince William and Kate were reportedly unaware of alleged plane swap. They were you know what? It doesn't matter whether they were aware or unaware. They knew that it was a stunt. They knew that it was a stunt. No, I don't believe that they said, oh, yeah, well, send an empty plane. The point of it is, this was a stunt. Every time they travel, they are using private planes and helicopters and a fleet of Range Rovers. So even if this one isolated event, they chose to do something different, that's all it was a stunt. It was a stunt. This is a family that has one mansion here and a huge palatial apartment elsewhere, plus another property up in Balmoral. Nobody's in those places at the same time, so they are heating, air conditioning, cleaning, and maintaining all of these properties even when they're not there. So What difference does it make? Just as one isolated event, they used this publicity stunt. And this was the bright idea of Simon Case. And look at there, what was that, the 24th of August? So this was months before the Sussexes left. Like about what, 6 months, 7 months before the Sussexes left the United Kingdom, that this report comes out. All right, so there you go. Aircrafty airline bosses flew empty aircraft 123 miles to Norfolk to pick up Prince William and Kate because they wanted the Flyby branding shown off for royal publicity stunt. And what's really, really, really insulting is the performative situation. You have brought your children into this publicity stunt. Take a look at there. You got William and Kate are spotted outside Heathrow Airport with children. They got all these backpacks. I bet you it's not even anything necessary in those bags. Their real luggage was probably driven up separately. But look at how they're struggling with the bags because they've never actually held them before. They don't know how to use that stuff. Poor George is about to fall over. Charlotte's looking up like, why are we doing this again? They're laughing and excited because they've never seen this part. I don't know if they ever been to an airport before where they actually are going through anything like real people. They're supposed to drive all the way up to the plane, but for the sake of the cameras, you can see they are running across. And look at there. Is that a nanny? Do you mean to tell me that every family that flies on Flybe has a nanny with them and royal protection officers? Everybody has that? Just your typical British family. Nannies, royal protection officers, and all. Just your typical royal, British family. Royal protection. I mean, look at there. They have the nanny carrying Louis. Kate, no, is that Kate? No, I believe that's Kate with Louis. And the nanny, oh, they brought her along to carry some more bags. They brought the nanny along to carry some more of those bags. They don't really need her because they have a nanny at every house. But the nanny, I'm just I cannot wrap my head around them going across the airfield instead of driving up to the plane. And by the way, that's a commercial aircraft. It probably holds about 100 people. They flew that plane empty 123 miles. That's about the distance between, say, Chicago and Milwaukee. They flew the plane about 123 miles empty, picked up the Cambridges, and then flew them to wherever the heck they were going, and then flew that same empty plane back to another airport. That was 2 empty flights. They call that a deadhead. And the Cambridge children, with glee and excitement because they get to carry their own bags. Poor George about to fall over. And William, he's so busy trying to lift up that heavy bag, his shirt tail didn't come out. He's not used to lifting stuff. He's so busy trying to figure out how to hold the bag, his shirt tail done popped out. And Kitty, she don't know what to do. Poor nonverbal Kitty is just looking around because she's still not sure why are we doing. Everybody's trying to figure out why we're doing this. The only one that really know is William, and then eventually he tells Kate, and by the time he tells her, they had a big laugh about it because this is a big joke for them. This is fun and funny. This is like the equivalent of them being carried by those native tribal people. It's just one big fun adventure for the Cambridge family. And so right here, let me see. Let me get this one up. Right here, you can see that's all fine, but when you refuse to condemn everyone else in the family for doing the same, it stops being relevant debate that is, that could have been had in regards to royals and flying and looks more like a double standard. Because that's the typical way that they travel is like you see there. Kate wears something that's about to fly up over her head, and from the looks of it, let me see. That's pretty much everything she owns, everything you see there. And plus, that government plane that they fly, you see that plane right there, that Charles and Camilla is stepping off of? That is like the Air Force One. They got rid of the Britannia, but in exchange for that, they bought an Airbus, which is about the size of a Dreamliner, and that plane is kitted out with all kind of posh accoutrements. I mean, they have everything you could think of, um, king size bed and all. So they're not wanting for anything. Um, and that plane is also shared by the prime minister and any other, like, you know, groups that are representing the UK. So, but yeah, so there you go. This is all a big publicity stunt, and of course, they have a fleet of aircraft, which include helicopters, big and small planes. And according to Omid Scobie, the 350 million pounds a year that is used for royal protection and such, that's not even including the salaries they get. Their salaries are not coming out of that money. That whole sovereign grant thing is like the biggest ruse you could imagine. So Simon Case, the pandemic inquiry, suddenly he's too ill to attend. Simon Case is the youngest person to ever hold the cabinet position that he had. Um, he was the youngest person to ever have that. They call him the Fly because anything that is too nasty and too filthy for most people's stomach, they say that's where he tends to, um, what do you call it? Where he tends to, what is the word I'm looking for? Well, anyway, that's where he evolves, is in crap. You throw him in some crap, and that's where he is at home. So that is why Harry refers to him as the Fly, because just like flies, he's attracted to crap. And the thing is, that's Harry's opinion, but that is an opinion that honestly is shared by just about anybody who's ever known him. They'll say, "Yeah, that's our Simon. That's our Simon. He thrives in crap." So it says here, Sir Edward Young, Simon Case, and Clive Alderton had, according to Prince Harry, managed to consolidate power through a series of bold Machiavellian maneuvers. Until now, the Duke of Sussex's 3 year, um, I don't use that word, against the royal household had referred, what is that, obliquely, to the attention, a face, I can barely see that, a faceless monolith constructed to crush his hopes and dreams. In his memoir, he focuses his anger on three individual courtiers. Though his loathing for them is such that he cannot bring himself to utter their names, they are the bee, the fly, and the wasp, middle-aged white men who managed to consolidate power through a series of Machiavellian maneuvers. These insects, he say, buzzed around the palace, had a sting in their tails. Um, and in the case of the fly, where were drawn to crap. Yeah. So in the case of the fly, which is Simon Case, he was drawn to crap. I just like these men, Harry, right? Just in the case readers had not worked out for themselves and they didn't have any use for me. They considered me irrelevant at best and stupid at worst. Let me see. You don't need to be a GCHQ cryptographer, rather, to work out the identities of these three servants, not because Prince Harry's spiteful description of them, but because of the well documented role each of them played in the episode of his describing the exit. Their crime here in Harry's eyes was to stand in the way of what he wanted and effectively forced him into exile against his will. They are, however, two sides to every story, as Harry himself has been keen to point out as he promotes his memoir Spare. Their job, as well as protecting the monarchy at all costs, was to save Harry from himself, according to whoever wrote this. They ignored the Duke's pleading. It was because they hoped that his self described red mist would dissipate with time, that is, and that he would see that those with more experience than him, not least his grandmother, might actually know what they were talking about. So, anyway, that is a bit biased there, but that gives you a description of how they were seen by Harry. So, God's Child says, "Hi, Baron. God allegedly got fed up with the hypocrisy of how people of color and Brits are treated by the press, royal family, and government, so wanted to lift the lid of privilege by using two prominent and popular figures, Harry and Meghan, to highlight it." Thank you so much for that, God's Child, for those very wise words. Sometimes God will do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. And also, they say in time, all truths shall be known. All truth shall be known. Thank you, and thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Okay. So yeah, that is the fly because he is attracted to crap. So there's William, Simon Case, Jason Knopf, and of course, um, Christian Jones. And Christian Jones, oh my God, Christian Jones. It was it was pointed out that it was as though this is what was so deflating about Christian Jones. This is the one that was photographed with Meghan when she went out to lunch, and they tried to convince us that Christian Jones was some threat to Harry because of his good looks, when everybody knows that at least two people in that out of those four, they're not exactly romantically inclined to be with women. As a matter of fact, it could be 4 out of 4, but I just don't know. Um, but at least two of them, for certain, have male partners in their lives, and that's fine. But my only grievance is how much trouble that they have made for the Sussexes. Christian Jones seems to have been Connie Balmer. Hey, Connie Balmer, I didn't know you were here. Christian Jones seemed to have almost, it seems, we don't know for sure, but it seems as though he was tweeting the Sussexes' exit while they were still writing the draft, which, of course, we find out that Dan Wooten, who somehow was in a photograph with Christian Jones and his unnamed partner. Dan Wooten finds out that they're leaving, and he threatens the Sussexes. You got uh, what is it? They said, "Oh, you got 10 days to announce to the world that you're leaving, or I will do it myself." Right? I mean, Dan Wooten boasts about the idea that he exposed the exit. And of course, it was such a change because Dan Wooten hates William. He does not like William. He he had no use for William. He seemed to have been physically attracted to Harry, given some of his rather bizarre tweets from the past, but he had absolutely no use for William. All of that changed, of course, when he picked up on the royal beat. But before that, he didn't have a use for William. He didn't like William. So he flipped. He became further entrenched in right wing politics, which is something that a lot of people like Dan Wooten, when the more that they seem like they're about to get in trouble for their personal life, the further they drift over into right wing politics. It's an extraordinary thing, but the more they become a right winger. So, former civil servant is suing the cabinet office for and his head Simon case for direct discrimination and harassment. Wow, that's so unlike Simon. That's so unlike Simon. Say it isn't so. Simon Case being sued for direct discrimination and harassment. Former civil servant lodges claim with an employment tribunal against the cabinet secretary and cabinet office. So apparently, this is that thing that he was too ill to attend, right? Or was that something else? It may have been something else. Oh, that was for that inquiry. Okay. So, yeah, I forgot I had that. All right. That's so unlike Simon, as I say with an air of disdain and sarcasm. So, Germans lay out government jet for Harry and Meghan pseudo royal tour. Sussexes are flown to and from Dusseldorf on taxpayer funded Luftwaffe plane used by high ranking politicians. Well, because Harry and Meghan are global leaders and global influencers, and of course, because of their great work with the Invictus Games, this event that happened a year before the Invictus Games, is there any wonder that Germany would lay out the red carpet for them? I mean, they deserve it. Harry and Meghan's public engagements have been compared to a royal tour, and it involves a jet to match. It's news because a government has given use of a private jet to Harry and Meghan. They did not fly them in from California. They only flew them from the UK over to Germany and back. And then the Queen died. So right there, even Robert Jobson, who knows better, that's what's so sad about this. Robert Jobson, uh, eco warrior, Prince Harry, is accused of hypocrisy as he touches down in Santa Barbara on Friends' 45 million pound jet after flying 750 miles from a polo match. As he gasped for air. That is that is what Robert that is what Robert Jobson grunted as he gasped for air. Somewhere in the middle of that death rattle, Robert Jobson was trying to tell us that Harry flew on a 45 million pound private jet 750 miles to go to a polo match. Although you would hardly know it because, as he explained it, he was fighting for his life. Uh, uh, uh. And knowing Robert Jolson, at the end of all of that, he probably let out a big fart. So, anyway, that's what Robert Jolson had to say. Anyway, the campaigning royal, uh, yeah, okay. So Prince Harry touches down in a private jet after polo match. The campaigning royal 36 boarded a 20-seat, 45 million pound plane from Aspen, Colorado to his home in Santa Barbara, California on Thursday. Now, what they failed to mention What they fail to mention, thank you, Sherry Ware, is that Harry hitched a ride. Harry did not charter the jet. There was a group of people that was traveling in the same position. And yeah, so it was a there was a few people that were going that way, and so he hitched a ride. The plane was going to go with or without Harry, and I guarantee you that with all of the private jets that Robert Jobson has crawled upon, I'm sure that pound for pound, if we compare the carbon emissions of fit, trim, healthy, attractive Prince Harry compared to Robert Jobson, I wonder who has the greater amount of carbon emissions. I mean, you can tell whether Robert Jobson is on a plane just by how it's dipping in the middle. So, who, I say, would burn the most carbon emissions? I submit to you. So, Robert Jobson should just keep his mouth shut. This is why he doesn't have a Twitter account, or at least why he doesn't have a public account. It's because of this kind of nonsense right here. This is why he got run out of Twitter. I mean, the Sussex squad ran him out of Twitter. Robert Jobson could not handle it. He couldn't handle it. They ran him out. Well, I'm sorry. They didn't run him anywhere. They walked him out of Twitter. They waddled him out of Twitter. He had to waddle out of Twitter because of his big mouth. Because let me see here.
Right in the book about when they try to force that Fab Four thing on us during the Queen's death, you know, that sort of fake walkabout when they're supposed to be together, that Kate said to another member of the royal family that it was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. Now, then immediately on Twitter you get all those Sussex troll idiots saying, well, you need to get out more if that's the hardest thing she ever done. You know, but, you know, the point of it is that it was a very difficult...
Loosen your necktie, sir. Try loosening your necktie if you have a neck. Lisette Zog says, Happy first Advent Sunday to everyone. I'm such a heathen. I didn't know it was Advent Sunday. What is Advent Sunday? But thank you so much, Lisette. Thank you so much for your super chat, and thank you so much for being here. Of course, I know what Advent Sunday is. Advent Sunday starts on the Sunday, December the 3rd, 2023, and ends on Christmas. Yes, so, okay, I didn't know what it was, but thank you so much. Advent Sunday is also called the first Sunday of Advent or First Advent Sunday. Among Western Christian churches, it is the first day of the liturgical year and the start of the season of Advent. Oh, thank you so much for that. Let's see here. In the Lutheran, Anglican, and Methodist churches, the celebrant wears violet colored or blue vestments on this day, and on the first violet or blue Advent candle is lit in worship of service. Oh, that sounds beautiful. I'm looking at a picture of one. Oh, that is beautiful. Likewise, the Roman rites of Catholics Advent also begins with the first Vespers evening prayers of the Sunday and falls on the closest to the 30th of November. Okay, the Sunday on the closest to the 30th of November, and it ends before first Vesper or evening prayer. Okay. Did not know about that. Thank you so much. All right. I love to learn new stuff. Thank you so much, Lisette. And I'm such a heathen. All the Catholics in my family, and that's the first I've heard of it. Okay. Let us continue. Hey, Charlotte. Now, this is almost laughable, but at the same time, it is a bit of propaganda. I actually have never shared this photo before, but this was from one of the tabloids when they were doing, droning on and on and on about Harry being a hypocrite. They made this photo based on the wildfires in California, right? Or brush fires, wildfires. And there's a private jet and a picture of Harry. And it implies that Harry is riding around on a Cessna or whatever jet, is riding around on a jet spitting fire out over the forests lands of the western United States, as though Harry as though Harry has been on this secret mission to abolish the forest in Southern California or wherever. Like he's riding around in a plane that has a flamethrower on the end of it. Just, oh, there's some trees right there. Oh, are those bushes over there? How stupid can you be? They literally created this hodgepodge of images to make a photo implying that Harry is single-handedly burning down California, Canada. Where else have we had some brush fires? As though he's like he's on a mission to eradicate vegetation anywhere he can find it. I'm telling you, it is as stupid as could be. But in order to make my point tonight, I said, you know what? I'm going to share this photo. But I forgot which tabloid it was, but they literally threw this in the story to further project the image of Harry destroying all of the terrain that he can find on some vendetta for what I don't know. I don't know. And then, of course, hypocrite Willie. You can see right there, our planet has become more fragile. Let me see. I can't see that. Let me find it someplace else. Okay. Our planet has become more fragile. The pressing need to protect and restore our planet has never been more urgent. Prince William, as he says before he boards yet another private plane, as he says before he walks ahead of his wife to board the plane and let her get on there the best way she know how. That's the same William who led his wife teeter up and down the steps with the aid of a Hollywood actor. The same William that ran out of St. Paul's Cathedral with his wife running behind him as fast as she could, lest she be left behind by the official Range Rover driver outside. Yeah, that William. That William. The same William that hopped off a private jet when he went to go visit his cousin, Hokum, whatever his name is, in Norway. When he went to go visit his cousin in Norway, that William that left his pregnant wife to fend for herself as she walked down the steps of their private jet because he was so excited to hold another man's hand that he just left his pregnant wife behind. Yeah. Make it the best way you can, sweetie. I got to go and hold his hand. So that William, who, is such a gentleman that his wife literally had to hang on for dear life with their unborn child, no less. Lady T says, I'm so glad to be amongst the intelligent. Love you, squallies. Thank you so much for that, Lady T. I wonder if that plane, oh, maybe this plane has a flamethrower. I see that little pod at the bottom of the plane. Is that what is that what he's using? Is that what Harry has at the bottom of this plane that's shooting? Does all those little planes come with a flamethrower? Or does it have like a big blade in there that just cuts the trees down? You don't even have to burn them, you just cut them. Maybe that's what it is. I'm next time I see a private jet, I'm going to have to look closer because according to the tabloids, they have like a flamethrower in case you're not burning enough carbon with the fuel. You could literally lay waste to an entire ecosystem every time you go play polo. Again, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you remember when Egg and Bones visited Norway? Was that uh, was okay? I guess that means Kate. Was Kate at the time? Oh, Kate was pregnant at the time. That's what it is. It's the pregnant emoji. But Ballhead couldn't be bothered to hold her hand in the snow or escort her off the plane. Then look at the crown prince making sure to walk behind his wife in case she fell. Thank you, Squatty. I'm gonna have to remember those emojis: an egg, a bone, another bone, the pregnant emoji, and the old bald head man. Okay, got it. I am going to commit that to memory. I'm glad you're having a good time. I was really upset from that book. I'm glad to be able to laugh right now because that book really got under my skin. And so this is a little collage that I think it was a newspaper that mentioned that the royal family has a long history of carbon emissions, plane, trains, and automobiles. These are the biggest offenders, along with Kate. These are the biggest offenders. Before she died, the Queen was, even though she took trains, she was still burning a lot of fuel. Charles, he is notorious for his private plane and helicopter use. And William literally shook down his grandmother and made her, I don't know if he was wielding a piece of Royal Dalton or what, but he forced her to buy him an 8 million pound helicopter. Not that he needed it, right? But he forced his grandmother, to buy him an 8 million pound helicopter. So at the time, William, Charles, Kate, occasionally Camilla, um, for those vet appointments, and the Queen. I don't know how much Philip used it, but I've even seen Princess Alexandra using a private jet to go on one of her royal visits. So they all do it. They all have access. But the two biggest offenders right now is Charles and William. And yet the tabloids make a fuss over something Harry never said in the first place. They make a fuss over something Meghan has never said in the first place. I don't know any place where either one of them have said that people should not use private jets or people are flying too much. Just so that we're clear, Meghan has been a part of a group that explores what the impact of climate change is going to be for women, how it affects women. And Harry and his travelers, it only gives us, the consumer, to use educated reasoning, thoughts, options, whatever. It educates us as to how much carbon emissions we are likely to produce when we fly. And at that point, we could decide I'll take a bus, I'll take a train, maybe I'll drive, maybe I won't go. That's it. It doesn't say don't travel. It doesn't say don't fly. That is a lie from the tabloid media. Fit for a king. Inside the plane, the royals use as Kate Middleton and Prince William jet into Belize. Well, if you guys remember, they took that big British aircraft to Belize. That way they wouldn't have to make a connection like real people. They flew on the big government plane about the size of probably the same size as a Dreamliner. They flew from the United Kingdom directly to Belize. When they emerged from the plane, the caption at the time said, Kate Middleton and Prince Harry arrive in Belize. You guys remember that? I got it somewhere if you don't believe me, but it'd take too much trouble to find it. But they mentioned that it was Prince Harry and Kate Middleton. They didn't think enough of William to even throw his name in there. And oh, look at just the typical British family. Look at that. That is so sweet. Just the typical British family emerging from their £8 million granny provided helicopter. Who hasn't flown their entire family on an £8 million helicopter? Charlotte B, thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for being here. What a blessing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, just your typical British family emerging from an £8 million custom liveried helicopter. I'm trying to remember if I've ever done that as a child. It'll come to me. Yeah. Doesn't every family do that? Surely they do. Oh, well. Okay. All right. Okay, that's for you, Charlotte. Since I don't have your usual theme song, I did that one for you. Oh man, I gotta find my Charlotte theme. I missed that one. Okay. Oh man. Okay, let me move on here. Now, I'm going to say this much though. I have been stuck on airplanes and all that for a while, but the the couple that looks the hottest when it comes to entering the airport, emerging from a plane, or just about anything, you have to admit the Sussexes are the hottest couple when it comes to flying around. Whatever public, private flight, they always look amazing. I mean, look at there. That very much gives you that power couple. That's what they are, a power couple. And of course, Megan, instead of wearing some ridiculous bright color like Kitty, she decided to tone down the look. You know, uh, before, uh, well, you know how Kitty used to dress before she decided to try to be more like Megan. When Megan went over to Ireland, instead of wearing some bright, hideous Amelia Wickstead dress or something like that, um, our Duchess, our princess, she decided to tone it down a bit rather than to be so offensive. Because I'm telling you, that outfit that Kate wore the last time she went to Ireland, actually, it wasn't the exact last time, but it was before that. It was offensive. It was like it injured the cornea. It could cause an injury to the cornea or retinal damage. Yeah, it was so hideous that it nearly caused retinal damage. But the people of Ireland, they're very strong. They made it through the famine. They made it through the occupation of the British Empire. They could survive anything. Although this nearly destroyed them, but they can survive anything. But that's what Kate wore to Ireland back in 2018. Meghan, Kate. Meghan, Kate. Meghan, a tropical rainforest. Meghan, a self-contained ecosystem. Meghan, a character from the Jolly Green Giant movie or commercial. Viva la différence. Yeah. So there you go. Like I said, Meghan wore something sensible and elegant instead of something repulsive and hideous and revolting. Meghan wore something elegant, chic, something that wasn't offensive, something that wasn't condescending. Just your typical power couple. There you go. And this is why people love them. Now, William worries about Africans' impact on wildlife and climate. This is the William that has 3 children. I'm messed up. 4 homes, a fleet of Range Rovers, excuse me, plus William's helicopter. You know what? I need a Ricola thanks to Connie Balmer. I have enough Ricola to get me through the entire winter season. Oh my goodness. Let me see this is eucalyptus. Good for the sinuses, good for the throat. Thank you, Connie Balmer, for the Ricola. You guys, Ricolas, they will cure what ails you. They will clear out. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about starting a one of those a GoFundMe for Robert Jobson so that we can get him enough Ricolas to clear up whatever it is he has. Maybe we'll wrap him around his neck or something, but yeah, we'll stuff Ricolas all behind his ears and everything. We'll get rid of whatever that is. I know it's his neck. Okay. So the increasing pressure on wildlife and wild spaces as the result of human population presents a huge challenge for conservation. This is coming from William, who has 3 children, a fleet of vehicles, a private helicopter, and also private jets. This is the same person that seems to be preoccupied with what Africans are doing in Africa. If you look at a population density chart, you will find out that Africa is one of the least dense populated continents in the world, one of the least densely populated places anywhere in the world. There are so many wide open spaces in the various nations of Africa that I think the only place where you can find more open space is Canada, the United States and Canada. They're pretty high on the list. And obviously South America, even though there's some 200 million people in Brazil, there is still plenty wide open space there. So he he's really being behind. What's that? Connie Balmer, thanks for offering me some Ricola. They will cure what ails you. I love Ricola. And I don't even know if I've ever tried the eucalyptus, but this is awesome. It has cleared my sinuses. I was having a little post-nasal drip, but it seems to have cleared it up. Thank you, Connie Balmer. So this was another big lie from the tabloids. Harry and Meghan asked to return on Air Force One with Biden after Queen's funeral, but were denied, and Jill didn't attend Invictus Games to avoid upsetting the royals. So are Sussex's attempts to become U.S. political players faltering? Again, the Queen had just died, 2 weeks before this article. This is an example of how a story, a conspiracy created by the derangers, ends up in a tabloid. That's what this is. I am convinced that there was some chatter from the derangers back and forth, and eventually that chatter turned into tabloid stories. This makes absolutely no sense because Harry and Meghan were missing their children, not expecting to be away for 2 weeks. Do you think that they would want to fly to Washington, D.C., land at a government airport? I don't know that they could bring their own plane or find a commercial flight at this airport. This is a government airport. I believe it's Andrews Air Force Base. You don't have commercial flights at Andrews Air Force Base. So they would have to spend probably another hour or two trying to get to another flight to get to California, when you can just fly direct first class and be there in about, 10 hours? It makes absolutely no sense. But if it can make the Sussexes look like they are needy and greedy and desperate, then all gloves are off. This never made sense. This is a creation of the tabloid media, and whatever derangers and conspiracy theorists, Angela 11, excuse me, Angela 11. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this Ricola was going to work on my sinuses. Angela 11. So whatever conspiracy theorists out there, that is where it came from. It bears no reality. I would not want to spend possibly another 3, 4, 5 hours trying to get to another plane when I can just go directly home. Let me see. Demand soar for Dutch first edition of book naming UK royals in race row. Copy of book about royal monarchy changing hands on resale website for up to £175. So if you are from the Netherlands and you got an early copy of the book, apparently you're able to sell it on, let's say, eBay or whatever. You can sell it for up to £175. I guess that would make it collectible. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that would become very collectible if you have one. I would say hang on to it. Wow. There's always somebody trying to get over. Now, Natasha Livingstone, if you really want to be a proper Duchess, Meghan, just look to the steadfastly unfussy Sophie. Again, if you want to be a proper Duchess, look to Sophie. If she's supposed to look to Sophie, who is Sophie looking to? Since Harry and Meghan quit Britain in 2020, Sophie has increasingly shouldered the weight of royal responsibilities. You all, about every 3 months, I think it's about every 3 months, there's another article where they try to convince us that Sophie is the royal family's secret weapon. Now, here's a little exercise for you. I know, Lady T. I know. Try to hold it together. I know. I hear you. Was it Felice baby? Sophia's in Ford Fiesta. So I know. Try to keep it together, y'all. I don't want y'all to laugh and fall out the chair or something. But you've heard of Keening Kate, right? Well, this is uh, Sophie. Sophie's choice to try to portray herself. Sophie, the secret weapon. She who is going to save the royal family. So here's a little exercise for you. I'm going to do it myself. I am going to Google royal family secret weapon. And when you do that, article after article will come up. Sophie is a secret weapon. Lady Louise is a secret weapon. Princess Beatrice named the firm's secret weapon. Didn't see that coming. Let me see. Oh, lots of Sophie, actually. Lots of Sophie. Camilla is a secret weapon. Tom Parker Bowles is a secret weapon. Let me see. Louis is a secret weapon. Did I say that? Let me see. Another King Charles secret weapon? One royal family member has been dubbed King Charles' secret weapon. I don't even know who this is. Who? One royal family member has been dubbed a secret weapon. Let me see. And it's not who you would expect. The royal family has to navigate a turbulent few years. Oh, it still comes back to Sophie. Never mind. It's not who you would think. Okay, whatever. But yeah, when you look for the secret weapon, Sophie keeps popping up. Beatrice and Eugenie, Lady Louisa, There's a lot of secret weapons in that family. You could pick or choose. Yeah, from one website, King Charles could use Princess Beatrice as a secret weapon to bring his estranged son, Prince Harry, back into the royal fold. Was she going to talk him into selling their house? Oh, man. So, yeah, this is another article. Now, Richard Fitzwilliam says Sophie Wessex boosts the royals and huge success in the U.S. after Meghan and Harry's damage. Sophie is an exemplar of a hardworking member of the royal family with a relatively low profile. She does a great deal of good. When Sophie went to New York, there were no official royal rotors there with her. The palace had to hire a photographer to follow her around. None of the tabloids was interested. Nobody in New York knew she was there except for the few people who had agreed to meet with her. None of it made a splash in the local papers or anything like that. It was a big fat nothing burger. Sophie has been all over the world doing things for the crown. And of course, she has been seen packing some Fortnum and Mason bags. I don't know what she does with those Fortnum and Mason bags, but it's very important that she uses the Fortnum and Mason bag. Yeah, so if you all know what the Fortnum and Mason bags are for, please let me know because I don't understand. Um, I do, but I'm not going to say so. And then as soon as she gets back to the UK, it's also equally important that she goes and meet with Charles and presents the Fortnum and Mason bag to Charles. And from Charles, it is quickly grabbed by Michael Forsyth, and the contents of the bag is never seen again. And next thing you know, there's a new extension at Highgrove. Um, Whatever is going on with her, they are trying to, how do you say that? Polish a turd? No. Make a purse out of us. Is it a sow's ear? Ago. Anyway, they're trying to make something out of Sophie. They're trying to make her into a real royal duchess. Not as she's the Duchess of Edinburgh. Uh, Duchess Sophie spotted leaving Kate Middleton's hairdresser with new look ahead of coronation. I don't know why that tickled me so bad. The Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, was spotted leaving a hair salon known to be frequented by Kate Middleton. What could possibly go wrong? Um, oh, thank you. Make let's see. It is a pig. Is a pig out of a silk purse? Really? Okay. But anyway, y'all, Sophie apparently is going to the same salon that Kate Middleton has been spotted at. Have let me see. Have had what did I leave off? After appearing to have had her hair colored, refreshed ahead of King Charles' historic coronation next week. So this wink wink hair salon where everybody comes out with their skin a lot tighter, a lot shinier. Um, for some reason, getting your hair done makes you look a lot younger. But Sophie has been to that same salon. So she went from being a coal miner's daughter. Yeah, she walked in there, a coal miner's daughter, and walked out of there looking like a real duchess. They have literally taken the coal miner's daughter and turned her into a duchess. I'm proud to be a coal miner's daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, Sophie Ford Fiesta as the coal miner's daughter. The coal miner's daughter. Yeah, so the coal miner, I don't I don't know if she's a coal miner's daughter, but she kind of looks like Loretta Lynn. I'm just kidding. That's an insult to Loretta Lynn. Let me see here. I'm proud to be a coal miner's daughter. Oh man. Wow. I'm looking for the lyrics to the song. Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter lyrics. Okay, coal miner's daughter lyrics. Let me see if that matches up with her. Well, I was born a coal miner's daughter in a cabin on a hill in Butcher Holler. We were poor, but we had love. That does sound like Sophie Wessex, because when she came to the royal family, y'all know she was bankrupt. Sophie came to the royal family 1.7 million pounds in debt. That's the one thing that Daddy made sure of. He shoveled coal to make a poor man's dollar. I'm telling you, that's it. It's not the coal miner's daughter. It's the Sophie Wessex story. That is the Sophie Wessex story, not coal miner's daughter. They messed up the title. Yeah, it's the Sophie Wessex story. She came to the royal family, 1.7 million pounds in debt. She hit the jackpot when she straightened out old Edward. When she straightened out Edward, she hit the jackpot. My daddy worked all night in Van Leer coal mines, all day long in the field, hauling corn. Mama rocked the babies at night and read the Bible by the coal light oil. Then I met Edward. He became my husband. And I spent the Queen's money to fix my hair. They said my husband looked a bit peculiar, but but I married him anyway. Even though the people said he wasn't a marrying type, I knew that I could show him how to do it right. Do it right. Now we're married and everyone can see. We're both wearing dresses above the knee. I'm proud to be a coal miner's daughter. Woo! Y'all, I'm telling you, Sophie is a miracle worker. She is a secret weapon because not only were people kind of worried about Edwina, but Sophie straightened his life out literally and figuratively. Straightened out his life, straightened out her bank account. Yeah, straightened out everything. Oh, Lord. Anyway, Sophie Wessex news shows she's ready to take over for Meghan Markle. I'm telling you guys, there has been article after article about Sophie, the secret weapon, the Wessexes, now the Edinburghs, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, how they are going to replace Harry and Meghan. Um, Even right here, you can see uh, that's Edwina, Eddie, Edward. Edward is the one with the black suit on with the Joan Crawford shoulder pads. Eddie loves those Joan Crawford shoulder pads. You know, Prince Edward has uh, I guess, a taste for the dramatic. Like, for instance, this very bespoke couture maxi coat, which nobody else in the family owns. He has the red lining inside of that very couture maxi coat, and yeah, I'm telling you, there's supermodels that doesn't have his face. So I wouldn't discount Edward's taste if I was you. But yeah, Edward and Sophie decided to coordinate like the Sussexes by, how Harry had the green lining inside of his jacket or coat. Well, Edwina did the same thing. Look at there. But notice how big those pants are. Yeah, Edward's got the big wide leg pants on, just fluttering the big shoulders. You work it, honey, work it. So right here it says William on Tuesday reacted. What does that say? Spike Lee to questioning on the subject by the press, objecting to BBC's Jenny Bond from a. What is that one for? I don't know what that's for anyway. Why did I put that up there? Sophie speaks to the news of the world. Oh, I know why I put that there. Yeah, that was what I wanted to share with you guys. Sophie, who's supposed to be a secret weapon, just in case you're new to the Sussex squad or new to the royal family, Sophie got in trouble years ago because when she was trying to figure out how she was going to pay back that 1.7 million pounds, she actually was willing to sell access to the royal family, allegedly. She was bamboozled by one of the tabloids, the ones that's saying she's a secret weapon. Sophie speaks to the news of the world's fake chic. Prince Edward TV company Ardent Production continued filming at Prince William's University. So, yeah, those are the two scandals they had in 2001. She spoke to a fake sheik just 2 years after marrying into the family. Same thing happened with Sarah Ferguson. I don't know what it is about the royal women and fake sheiks, but every time somebody say that they're chic and they got plenty money, it seems like they're willing to promise anything. So the coal miner's daughter got in trouble for that. And not only that, she got in trouble for talking crap about the royal family. She got in a whole lot of trouble for talking crap about the royal family, the queen included. Yeah, she's not the nicest person. And poor Eddie had a film production company that folded because eventually the only thing that he could talk about was his family. But you know what? God bless him for trying. God bless him for trying. At least he tried. And right here, Sophie, the family's secret weapon, there's one of her secrets right there, verbally berating the help. I mean, she all up in his face and wagging her finger and just having a fit. I'm not a lip reader, and of course this is not a film. This is just still photos. But it looks like she's saying, "How come you didn't tell me that that was a fake sheik? Do you know how much trouble I'm in? I have to pay off." I'm reading her lips. "I have to pay off this 1.7 million pounds debt, and I can't do it." I'm reading her lips, y'all. "I can't do it if you keep bringing me fake sheiks. Now, if that happens again, I'm going to run you over with my motorcade myself. You understand? All right, do better." So, yeah, I was reading her lips. That's what she was saying to him. Poor guy was crying. Let me see. It would seem what does that say? "It would seem the prenuptial nerves are not confined to Kate Middleton and her family. Prince Edward's wife, Sophie, seemed frayed around the edges as she was spotted leaving Bruce Oldfield's bridal salon last week. She took out her irritation on her personal bodyguard by waving her arms and jabbing him with her finger as she came out of the exclusive Knightsbridge boutique." What? I wonder what that was about. I wonder what that was about. I mean, she's jabbing him with her finger and berating him, and it's not even her wedding. And he's not the wedding planner, he's a bodyguard. What could that have been about? And she's over there jabbing him with her finger and all that kind of stuff. Wow. What y'all think that was about? Oh, well. Now, you know what? She would have felt stupid if he would have head butted her and broke them sunglasses. She'd have felt real stupid if he would have head butted her and broke them sunglasses in two. I would have fell on the floor. You hear me? If he would have head butted her and broke them sunglasses, I wouldn't have been no good, y'all. That's what that should have been the story. Sophie berated the security guard, her bodyguard, and was jabbing him with her finger when suddenly he turned to her and said, "What?" And he butted heads with her and broke her sunglasses. Now that would have been an interesting story, but instead, it looks like she got away with it. So, oh well. And just so you know, guys, the secret weapon, the secret weapon is lurking in the background. Um, One of my favorite photos of Sophie is the one on the left side there. The camera, the same camera that caught a glimpse of her attacking her royal protection officer. That's the same camera that got a glimpse of Sophie, the coal miner's daughter, staring at Kate, because at the time, Sophie was not a duchess herself. As a matter of fact, she thought she was never going to be a duchess. It took all that time after Prince Philip died for her to get her title, Duchess of Edinburgh. And to show you how cruel Charles can be, not only did he make her wait for it, but then he told Edward and Sophie, "Listen, you all can be the Duke and Duchess, but after you're gone, the title goes back to the crown and not to your children. Your children will get nothing. So you better make sure they do good in school because they ain't got nothing coming from me. You dig?" All right. So yeah, there's poor downtrodden, down in the mouth coal miner Sophie, the coal miner's daughter, doing what she's going to do for the rest of her life, walking in Kate Middleton's shadow with her head down, wondering how did it all go so wrong. That's the rest of her life. One of the dumbest people this side of creation, and she has to walk behind that person and be her shadow. Yeah. Might as well be a lady's maid. Might as well be the lady's maid. From coal miner's daughter to royal lady's maid, the Sophie Wessex story. I'm sorry, the Sophie Reese Jones. That's her name, Sophie Reese Jones. From coal miner's daughter to royal lady in waiting to Kate Middleton is Sophie Wessex, the coal miner's daughter. Yeah, so that's what she's going to be doing. And I want you to take a look at this chart from 2021. This chart says that in terms of Google searches, number one at 1.1 million, I believe this was just for the UK, Meghan Markle, followed by Prince Harry, followed by Kate Middleton, Prince Andrew, Princess Anne, Queen Elizabeth. Again, this is 2021. Um, Prince Charles, Prince William, Camilla Parker Bowles, Prince Edward, Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, Zara the Tongue Ring Tyndall, and dead last, but probably above the Gloucesters and the Kents, there's Sophie Wessex. 19,000 searches for Sophie Wessex. Wow. I mean, dead last. You see that pie right there? Look at that pie. Sophie is so small on that pie, it don't even register. I don't even see her on there. Y'all see Sophie Wessex? I don't even see her. She's so small, she didn't even make the pie. She is so small, she's not even on the pie. I don't see her. No kidding. Do you all see her? I don't even see her. She's like a crumb. There's a whole pie, and Sophie Wessex is a crumb. She is the least popular out of everybody there. Sophie Wessex, the secret weapon. I guess she is a secret. You can't even see her. That's that ingredient that you taste the pie and you're like, oh, that's an interesting ingredient, a little bitter and uptight. Yeah, there's some. I bit into something in this pie. This pie is so bitter. That one little piece of the pie is real bitter and tasteless. As a matter of fact, it kind of burns inside my mouth. I don't know what that is. Wonder what ingredient of the pie that is. Why, it's Sophie Wessex. Bitter, tasteless, little oddly shaped. Sophie. Speaking of oddly shaped, somehow, don't ask me how I did this, but somehow I managed to get an x-ray of our Duchess with her very elegant, serene, regal body. And if you were to put that x-ray side by side, if you were to put that x-ray side by side with Sophie Wessex, well, you'd have just a big old mess, wouldn't you? See what I mean? You'd have a little dumpy, round, plump Mrs. Claus mess. You have the elegant body of a well-educated woman compared to a common laborer who came to the royal family 1.7 million pounds in debt. Right? See how you stand up straight when you have over $5 million when you show up, compared to somebody who was in debt, financially underwater by 1.7 million pounds. See there? Financially independent, 1.7 million pounds in debt. financially independent, 1.7 million pounds in debt. See there? That's the difference. Now, who would you rather be? Would you rather be independently wealthy with with 5 whatever million pounds of wealth, or would you rather be weighed down with debt? Would you rather have that albatross of debt around your neck like a millstone pulling you down and keeping you humble and having you hide in the shadows, right? Would you want that? Would you rather be someone who is independently wealthy and loved and admired and appreciated, or would you rather be the one who hides and lurks in the shadows and follows Kate Middleton around, never really having a voice of your own, and at the same time, as an ultimate insult, people refer to you as a secret weapon, so secret I don't think there's anybody in the United States that even knows your name. Sophie Edinburgh. So, and lastly, Sophie Wessex, Sophie Edinburgh. Omen Scobie mentioned this in the book. Sophie and Eddie, they asked about Oprah Winfrey. They said, Oprah who? Oprah who? And then Sophie went on to say something about, well, unless you watch talk shows, why would you know anything about her? You mean to tell me one of the most successful people of African descent ever, especially in the entertainment field, one of the most successful women of any race in America, that just happens to be Black, and you don't know who she is? Somebody who obviously you have seen at the royal wedding sitting across from you while you were sitting there making faces with the rest of the family. You mean to tell me you don't know who Oprah Winfrey is? Now, they say it was supposed to be a joke. To be fair, she said it was supposed to be a little bit of a joke. But just like not everybody should ask about somebody's baby's complexion, not everybody should be so dismissive of a very successful woman of African descent that just happens to be American and just happens to have done the Oprah Winfrey interview with the Sussexes. And then one of the slides that I didn't include, guess what, you guys? Sophie, who I have to give her credit for this, Sophie has worked with charities that actually provide vision testing in poor communities and such. She's been to Africa to help, with to make sure that children have access to eyewear and vision and stuff. Well, anyway, Sophie has actually visited one of Oprah's charities in Africa. She's been to a charity, a building, a location that is named for Oprah Winfrey. So, yes, it was perhaps supposed to be a joke, but next time you tell a joke, Sophie, at least make sure it's funny, because that one kind of went over our head. And like Omid Scobie said, the result of that is that it kind of makes you look out of touch and bigoted, right? That was the take that some people got, is that you're just another royal that is out of touch and bigoted and maybe mildly racist. That remains to be seen, but it wasn't funny. It was really tacky. Oprah who? Who? Well, the truth is Sophie who? Because most people have never heard of Sophie. We've all heard of Ford Fiesta, but nobody knows who Sophie is. Okay, so I'm going to move on from Sophie Wessex, and I'll probably drag her next time there's an article saying how important she is to the royal family. We'll drag her all over again, okay? Promise. I promise that I will drag her every opportunity I get. So, one of the big talking points right now is removal of the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. A debate in Parliament is considered utilizing the Title and Deprivation Act of 1917 to strip the Sussex dukedom from the couple due to the immense, that is, damage uh, their behavior since their marriage in 2018 and their abandonment of the royal family has done to the reputation of the monarchy. Having been funded to the tune of millions by the British taxpayer, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have sought since January 2020 to monetize their royal titles in the US. I still don't know how that's possible. You don't get anything for a title because they don't mean anything. Their blatant disregard for Her Majesty the Queen is evident to the entire nation, etc., etc., etc. So, this petition was rejected. Why was this petition rejected? It's about honors and appointments. We can't publish petitions about honors and appointments, including asking for people to be given or have titles removed. In any case, the use of royal titles are a matter of Her Majesty the Queen and not the government or Parliament. Okay? The use and appointment of titles is a matter for the monarch. You might be interested to know that the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917 was during of 1917 was specially for use during the First World War, and for those who have during the present war borne arms against His Majesty or his allies, or to have adhered to His Majesty's enemies, and not for general removal of titles. You can read the legislation here. So there's a link that would actually show you what that means. We only reject petitions that don't meet the petition standards. So we only reject petitions that don't meet the petition standards. In other words, don't worry about it. It means nothing. Lawmakers suggest Harry and Meghan are behind Omid Scobie's race claim as he calls for them to be stripped of their titles. Bob Seeley, if someone doesn't want to be royal, I think he's in the House of Commons. That is a decision we respect, but they should not keep the titles and privileges if they trash the institution. Well, that's his picture right there in that little circle. He says he's a Republican. So if he's a Republican, he shouldn't care about the titles one way or the other. As a matter of fact, as a Republican, you should want to strip everyone of their titles, right? But that's not going to happen. He is just doing this for attention. It is to make himself popular among certain people as a conservative MP or whatever. I think he's in the House of Commons. But yeah, as a conservative, he's just trying to win brownie points. Nothing is going to come of this, period. So we're almost done, you guys. There is an image that depicts the Sussexes at their stately, palatial, Mediterranean-style California mansion, which has 110 bedrooms and about 300 bathrooms, a jacuzzi, and room for a pony, right? That is, I like that photo. It's nice. Let me see here. Okay. And finally, our last word for the day comes from the very wise Dr. Maya Angelou. Yeah, the very wise Dr. Maya Angelou. Dr. Maya Angelou would say, Do the best that you can do until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. That's the same Dr. Maya Angelou who says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. So, yes, listen to the very wise words of Dr. Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you can know better. And then when you know better, do better, right? That's what I said. When you know better, then do better. That's right. You listen to Dr. Maya Angelou. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for your very generous and thoughtful contributions to Royal Sussex. Thank you, H. Knight, B. Martim, God's Child, Lizette Zog, Lady T, and Charlotte. And also thank you for for the Cash Apps and the PayPals. Let me see here. Where did it go? There we go. Yeah, thank you, DT, for the Cash App. And thank you, MR, for the Cash App. And also, in terms of the PayPal, thank you, Mystery Individual, for the PayPal. Wait, is it a mystery? Yeah, I think that's best. But yes, thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you all. I will see you all tomorrow. And let me see. Well, Gwendolyn, the law of unintentional, whatever. What they would do is they would turn Meghan into Princess Henry of Wales. And because people like to keep things simple, they're going to end up calling her Princess Meghan. They're going to call him Prince Harry, and they're going to call her Princess Meghan. Honestly, most Americans aren't likely to know what a Duke and Duchess of Sussex means. They don't know that there's a county called Sussex or something like that. We don't have a reference to that over here. We don't know. And even moreover, we really don't care. That is what they're called. And out of respect for the Sussexes, we call them by their names and we use their titles. Um, we don't really have an equivalent of that. Now, in some respects, you can say we do. When you're a doctor, right? When you're from the military, you may always be called colonel or general or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Even though you retired, you may still have those titles. People may still use those titles. Senator this, congressman that. People will refer to you by that. But otherwise, Duke, Duchess, all of that, it has no real legal bearing here. It's fun for us. The royal family for most Americans are a novelty. It's a whimsy. It's fun. The whole idea of knights and castles and all that kind of stuff. If we had our choice, we wouldn't care. We don't really care. It's not part of our thing. But it's good for other people because that's their system. But for us, we don't have a reference. When we call someone the queen of soul or the king of jazz or king of rock and roll or whatever, it's it's a, let's say, a courtesy title. It's just fun, but it doesn't mean anything, right? Although if you try to call somebody else queen of soul, Aretha Franklin would have hurt your feelings, but um it is what it is, right? So yeah, we don't have a strong emotion about it. So Prince Harry is always going to be Prince Harry. Most people don't know what his last name is, and they don't care. We only care about hard work and determination. We love the underdog. All of those things carry some weight in this country, but the other stuff is just a bunch of noise. Just a bunch of noise. Nobody's interested and nobody cares. So, thank you so much, everyone. Love you guys. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this such a safe space. I've never felt safer in my life. And thank you to everyone who contributed with your comments, your likes, your shares, and of course, most importantly, please do subscribe. All right, I think we're good. So, I'm trying to think, did I have another video to share with you guys? I don't think so. What was this? Okay, that's not it. Yeah, I didn't have another video. I wonder why I added that sound effect. I mean, is this something about Robert Jobson that just makes you go, oh, well. Yeah, that's like Robert Jobson's entrance music.
Right in the book about when they try to force that Fab Four thing on us during the Queen's death, that sort of fake walkabout when they're supposed to be together, that Kate said to another member of the royal family that it was one of the hardest things she ever had to do. Now, then immediately on Twitter you get all those Sussex troll idiots saying, well, you need to get out more if that's the hardest thing she ever done. But the point of it is that it was a very difficult.
Yeah. The Sussex squad said if that's the hardest thing that Kate has ever done, then she needs to get out more. As a matter of fact, if Dr. Maya Angelou was still alive, she would say the same thing. If that's the hardest thing that you've ever had to do, then you really need to get out more. Because when you know better, most people do better. But if you're Kate Middleton, you never have and you never will. I tell you, I have had some fun tonight, you guys. Thank you so much. I really, really needed to laugh tonight because after finishing Spare, I felt a certain way. But thanks to the Sussex squad, I'm better. Yeah, I'm much better. Bon nuit to you too, Charlotte. Bon nuit to you. But yeah, thanks to the Sussex squad, I feel so much better. I feel light. I feel I feel empowered. I feel all of those things, and that's because of the Sussex squad. Jobo butt looked like a hot air balloon that's about to blow any minute. Thank you, Cookies and Cream. He does kind of look like somebody is about to stick a pin in him. Oh, Jessica Foreman, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh man. Well, thank you so much. I had fun tonight. I really did. And you guys help me work through the book because when I finished that book, I was just like kind of bristling. I was gnashing my teeth. I was lying awake all night, wanting Will and Kate to be marched around and pointed at and have people pull on her hair extensions and put turtle wax car polish on the top of his head. Yes, I was up all night gnashing my teeth and I don't know where I got that from. That was a weird dream. Anyway, Uh, but when I dream about Nana, nobody's pulling on her hair because it would all come off. When I'm dreaming about Nana Akua, I'm lying awake all night, gnashing my teeth, and then all of a sudden I have to run because I'm being chased by her wig. Her wig is after me, making some weird sound. Yes, Nana Akua's wig is chasing me through town. Oh. Okay, I better stop. I better stop. Okay, you all, I have said way too much today. And although it may be fun, I have said way too much. And I have said everything from the coal miner's daughter to hair extensions. At this point, it's probably time to go. So I'm going to cue the Ginger Avenger, and I will see you all tomorrow. Love you guys.